Squatters' rights, also known as adverse possession, refer to legal principle that allows a person to claim ownership of a property they occupy without the owner's permission, if certain conditions are met, such as continuous and exclusive possession for a specific period, and in some cases, payment of property taxes. The time frame for claiming ownership through adverse possession varies by state, typically ranging from 7 to 20 years. People, this has become a nightmare for the United States. And like this says, different cities, hey, different takes. I'm in Chicago, and it's a nightmare. I'm in Illinois, and it is a nightmare. When my dear grandmother had a stroke, I had power of attorney over her properties, and I went through it. And I'm telling you, when you come face to face with folks you ain't never seen before, you're like, excuse me? And he's looking at you like, excuse me? Then you call the law, and in so many words, they tell you, well, we're not the court. It's a civil matter. You mean to tell me I'm power of attorney? My grandmother has owned this property for decades. She's owned the property. And all of a sudden, somebody picked the lock and they're in there. And let's say they have a bogus lease. It's nothing the police can do. And if they're not going to do any due diligence to authenticate the lease, you got to go through the channels. Let me present to you two cases. And my mind goes back. Look, people, I almost got beat up, okay? And there's no laughing matter when you're in that situation because you're trying to be as professional as possible. But you got to remember, some people, they're druggies, they're addicts. They're on their last leg. They have nothing to lose. And many of them are looking for a confrontation. And hey, they're not going to be leaving easily, as easy as you might anticipate. Now here's a situation here. Man moves in with alleged squatters, literally. This guy owned the house. He got it on the docket to be sold and or rented, whatever. And let me just let the story go out there. People are living in it. Check it out.
Chicago man says he did the unthinkable when he discovered alleged squatters in his property. He decided to move in with them. Marco Velasquez is the owner of this Southside property, which is on the market to be sold. He says his realtor came by with a potential buyer, but there was already people inside.
I couldn't believe it. It was like a nightmare.
Velasquez says a woman named Charmaine and her boyfriend Cordero moved in, claiming they recently purchased the property. He says the couple showed police this mortgage document, but Cook County confirms they don't see this mortgage on record. Velasquez's realtor recorded this video as the couple explained to police they had a right to be there.
Can you imagine that? You got the legit documents. You've done the homework. People, I tell you, look, people, put in the chat if you've experienced it. Criminals these days, they are sophisticated with capitals. Criminals are more sophisticated today. I'm not calling criminals of the past dumb, but they know how to run this paperwork enough to skate by so they can do what they got to do, okay? Can you say free? Let's go to this other part here. So here's the owner. He literally moved in with his wife and his friends thinking they was going to leave. And they wasn't going to leave. So he's like, you know what? They negotiated. Can you believe it? They negotiated. They worked something out. So they drew up this here. Check this out.
$8,000.
Velasquez says they negotiated. He had the couple sign a cash for key agreement, and he paid them $4,300 to leave.
We wouldn't want.
They started at $8,000 and wound up negotiating to $4,300. I have a question for you guys. Would you have done that? Would you have paid them this money? I mean, let's make it personal. Suppose it was your grandmother's house or your uncle's house or somebody in your family got sick and you were power of attorney. That hurts. And now you thinking, you don't want them to do damage inside the property, so you pay him. I guess that was the logic. He already moved in with his family. They wouldn't leave. So he wound up paying them. Would you have negotiated? Now y'all be cool in the chat, because I got this feeling that some of y'all would have been how can I say this without getting in trouble? Let's just say you would have handled your business, okay? Mob style, right? Check it out. So check this out here. So what do you wind up doing?
About squatters taking over properties 6, 8, 10 months, even a year.
Velasquez says weeks later, a CPD detective called them, informing them that one of the alleged squatters is the same woman accused of squatting in Marcia and Carlton Lee's home after leaving his property. In the Lee's case, Charmaine Powell Gillard was arrested and charged with burglary, forgery, obstructing identification, and criminal residential trespassing.
So, allegedly, she's a professional squatter. Come on now. Look, that means her and her boyfriend going house to house with a convincing argument and documentation. Like I said, these people are sophisticated. They know what they're doing. Maybe they got people who are in the business and taught them. Who knows? You can go online and learn just about anything. Go down to the place and drop a document and move right in. Instead of being old school, when you had real district attorneys and law enforcement at that level, the courts, and they weren't misinterpreting, in my humble opinion, squatters' rights. Once somebody busts that lock and go in there, that's trespassing. And you got locked up. Now it's like the police is like, hey, okay, I'm not a lawyer. I don't really know. They got paperwork. You got paperwork. It's a civil matter. Y'all got to go through the channels. Bad, just bad. If you had been in this situation, what did you do? I literally had to negotiate too. And a few days later, I went back, they left. I was so glad, because it was gonna cost me a pretty penny at that time to have it done. And at that point, you're wondering if you're even safe. I was taking care of 6 homes back in the day, and it was rough. It was rough. And then I'm not gonna be talking about the personal side where my family did it. My family came in on the property too that I was managing for my mother, my grandmother. That's another story. I know folks, if they hear it, they gonna like it, but hey, Pearson, don't put your business in the street. Look, people, don't you trust nobody. That's why I said it. And you probably got family members who did it too, so I ain't the only one. You'd be surprised what your family would do when a loved one gets sick and they know that you are in charge of things. They smiling like Eddie Murphy on Thanksgiving, eating their pork chops and mustard greens and turnips and praising the Lord. And soon as the patriarch of the family gets sick, shoot, you don't even know him at that point. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. I went through it. I don't think I'll ever do any family thing like that again. People, squatters come in all forms. Let me hasten on. Here's another situation here. Here's a situation here where the person, this guy, check it out. Similar situation.
Heard about squatter stories before, but never thought it could actually happen to him. So he called us and we got right on this case. Stephen Brill was excited to sell this Tinley Park home that he purchased and renovated earlier this year.
I put the house on the market Monday evening, And then yesterday at 4 p.m., an agent went to go show the house for a showing.
During that showing, he says the real estate agent discovered the lockbox had been broken and a family of 4 with 2 dogs was living inside. The property owner says he showed up with police that same day. He says someone came outside and showed police this lease, claiming they paid a deposit and had a right to be there. Because of this lease, police did not remove the family and referred the property owner to the eviction courts.
I thought for sure that they would remove the people from the house, but they didn't. In the end, they're still there.
In a statement to the ABC 7i team,
Though the lease is most likely invalid, that is not the officer's responsibility to determine. Kind of makes sense, but man, it's rough. It's rough. Now let's show you how this thing fared out. The police did a little bit more detailed and realized that the lease was bogus. Check it out.
Tinley Park Police, Brill said he got a call from an officer saying they were willing to take a second look at the case. In doing so, police found the so-called lease was invalid. One major red flag, the address on the lease didn't match the property's address. So they took action to order the family to leave the property. We were there as police came back to the property.
Got 2 dogs, a whole family. What would you have done? What would you have done? I just want to know. I've been through it. I was so glad when I got done with them properties. It was one of the most stressful moments of my life, and I tell you, and I wound up losing everything. When it came down to it, that's a whole different story. But it's like you can't trust family, you can't trust strangers. What people would do, go into bank accounts, fraudulent activity. Have you been fraudulently? I mean, people. And so, what's the prevention? Well, they say people are now buying motion detectors and cameras for the house and alarm systems, so if someone breaks up in there, they come right up in there and they can catch them on the spot and call the police. So, I guess that's a real good move. The other move, and I feel y'all gonna put it in the chat, you're gonna handle your business. Hey, look, you gonna handle your business, right? Hey, let's draw a scenario. You decide to live there until it's rented. And you got another month's lease, you got another month left on your lease where you at, and you about to move into this property that you're going to sell, but you know it's going to take time to sell. And then you go there and somebody else up there in it. I'm out. Tell me how you really feel. How have you handled it? How long did it take? What was the result? And what was your initial reaction? And what would you do differently? And some advice for people. Because we live in bad times. I think we should use another word for squatters. How about trespassers? How about lawbreakers? And how about, like Illinois and other states, stop being so lenient? It's got to be some better checks and balances. It's got to be a place where a person, when they have a lease, maybe it should be embossed or something. I don't know. Tell me what you think is the best preventive measures. Tell me what you think. You guys have a good one.